Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat think tanks have finally admitted defeat. They have finally admitted that we on the pulse of black media, that we have the influence and we are shaping elections. They are saying this, and we want to prove what we're saying tonight off of a report they actually put out admitting this. So let's go ahead and check this out. Now, this was put up by the New York Times, ladies and gentlemen. So this is put up in the mainstream media. Now, it was come out by Progress Now, identifying gaps in Democratic digital investments. It came out on September 19, 2024. Now, in the summary, they're saying here, as most of the recent public polls indicate, the presidential race is statistically deadlocked. This analysis obscures the fact that there are consequential gaps in support for Vice President Harris among key constituencies, including voters of color and young voters. Together, Priorities and Progress Now are sounding the alarm, ladies and gentlemen, that the path to victory for Harris goes directly through these communities, but programs to communicate with and mobilize them remain alarmingly underfunded. Now, if you're going to go through us to get her elected, well, we should become a priority, right? But let's continue. Since the start of August 2024, only 15% of digital communication has been targeted to voters of color. While there are 6 weeks to the election day, across the country, voters are already casting ballots. Strong digital programs rooted in community are critical right now as the path to victory goes through key constituencies where Harris has to consolidate her vote. These voters primarily get their news and information online. Number 3, culturally competent digital programs are most effective at engaging and mobilizing these voters. In other words, the mainstream media is just not going to do it. As organizations that lead and collaborate on digital coordination, we have unprecedented and visibly data into partner and state programs. There are many groups who are part of the solution, who do this work well, and who are rooted in these communities. We hope this analysis of key states, audiences, and key digital gaps drives investment to those groups and wins this election. Now they go down here and say young voters and voters of color are critical to the path to victory. Well, give us our reparations then, and then you probably would win the election. Progress Now has been fielding tracking surveys in Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin since January 2024. The latest numbers from September 12th reinforce the Harris campaign's assertion that they are the underdogs in this race. Across the battleground states, Harris is either tied or slightly trailing Trump, while the data shows an increase in Harris' vote choice and enthusiasm since she entered the race in July. To close the gap and surpass Trump, Harris has to consolidate traditional Democratic-based voters as well as win swaths of persuadable voters who are open to voting for her. Both groups winnable voters are disproportionately young and are voters of color. Okay, these people study us, ladies and gentlemen, all the way around. I say, according to internal polling, in comparison to historically performance numbers, find Harris trailing both Biden levels of support with Black, Latino, and young voters. It said, if not just 42,918 voters in 3 states. It said Biden would have won 270 electoral votes. We cannot tolerate any loss of support and hope to win without an immediate investment in communication to these groups that is commensurate with their power. It say in the electorate, electing Harris in November will become harder. Okay. Now let's go down here. Culturally competent digital communications imperative to win. We read all this for a reason, because I want to build something. It say communicating online through paid influencer and organic programs is critical to reaching these audiences. Well, I'm going to tell you some Democrat think tanks. Paying shills is not the way to go. You're not going to win that way. You're going to turn people away from her paying shills. Okay, let's continue. Without investment, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are not a neutral playing field. They are shaping how these communities view Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Younger and diverse audiences are disproportionately online, and an essential share are total unreachable by traditional media. Traditional media, you can run all the ads you want, spend all the millions, you're just not going to reach them. They say only half of Black, Latino, Gen Z, and millennial voters in battleground states watch broadcast TV in a week. But 85% use YouTube, 73% use Facebook, and 65% use ad-supported streaming, according to Priorities Media Consumption Research. When they engage in politics, it's online. For example, only 27% of 18 and 34-year-olds watched the September 10th debate on traditional TV, while 51% streamed it and watched clips on social media. In other words, Democrats and Republicans, I'm talking to both of you, and Green Party and any party, the way to the White House is through our microphones. And if you want to get there, well, it seems like you probably need to start speaking to people like ourselves, right? But see, you're scared because we're going to tell you what we need as a community. Now, mode and messenger also matter. Edelman's 2022 Trust Barometer found that circles of trust have become more local, with large swings in trust from outsiders and toward those whom they share a closer community connection. That swing is reflected in our research in how best to reach and persuade voters online. Research by Equus, Priorities, and others show that in-language ads often perform better with Latino and Asian voters than English-only ads. As they progress now, repeatedly tested the persuasion impact of ads made by local creative teams versus vended consultant teams, and finds locally responsive ads, messengers, and stories simply resonate more. As say in other research by Priorities, ads designed for Black voters by Black operatives were more mobilizing than broadcast ads. Well, what it's saying is, it seems like y'all need to start spending these millions of dollars with Black people finally, right? If you want to reach Black people. That's all they're admitting, and other groups too. Now they're saying broadcast style advertising alone is insufficient to reach, persuade, and mobilize these voters. Large scale broadcast buys where the message and messenger are the same from state to state and audience to audience are not sufficient to move key groups of voters to where we need them to be. They must be complemented by an investment in targeted, culturally competent, and locally specific communication that speaks to voters like the people that they are. In other words, if you want to advertise to Black people, you got to go through Black people, all other groups as well. And say the need to prioritize this investment is exacerbated by Trump's investment in wedging and peeling off these voters, starting with working class Latinos and Black men under 40. Okay, so they're admitting Trump is peeling those men away. Why? Because those Black and Latino men you're talking about have families. The Black and Latino men want to make their bag, and they're not trying to hear about no immigration, no abortion, or anything else. They worrying about providing for their families. Now, it's a Republican, it's a MAGA infrastructure has set its sights on courting a diverse coalition across battleground states, including Latino voters in Nevada, Black voters in Pennsylvania and Georgia, and promoting high-profile AAPI surrogates, including Elaine Chao, Vivek Ramaswamy, and most recently, Usha Vance. In short, the GOP is actively recruiting these voters, and others, and is resonating. It said we have to rapidly fill targeted spending gaps to earn their support. Now, it's almost over, ladies and gentlemen. It said top-line spending obscures key gaps in youth and voter of color communication. Now, I say the gaps in spending are obscured looking at top-line spending only. Aggregate spending on digital, let's say streaming TV, YouTube, Google search, display, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, and X, as pulled from Priorities ad hoc digital tracking. It said paints a picture suggesting progressive and democratic spending is outpacing Team Trump on digital persuasion and overall mobilization across the battlegrounds. It said Priorities and Progressive Now have partnered to analyze spending plans across the battleground states, corroborated by data from ad hoc. It said those results suggest Democrats are not investing a large enough share of our digital communication to reach these key constituencies. It's just wrapping it up. Our analysis found that Democrats' spending advantage is overwhelmingly going to general market communications, where we're more likely talking to many of the same broad swath of voters over and over again. Furthermore, we determined that not nearly enough is being invested in programs that specifically target the voters we need, it said, to win the messages that said we know they need to hear. It said since the start of August, only 15% of Democratic digital persuasion and mobilization spend in battlegrounds was targeted toward voters of color. Less is specifically targeted to 18 to 34-year-olds on platforms including overlap with voters of color. Again, our goal is to sound the alarm and encourage donors to increase the share of the overall digital investments toward efforts that prioritize reaching the core constituency Democrats must win. The same coordination efforts that underlie this analysis also make it clear that there are many organizations with well-laid plans and deep expertise ready to sprint toward the finish line. We strongly encourage you to invest in their work immediately. Early voting has already begun. Time is running out. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to read all that to you so you can understand that they are admitting the mainstream media has lost. Even though the mainstream media has the biggest propaganda voice, they have billions of dollars. They can create narratives. They can do all kinds of things, but they cannot move the pulse of Black America. They surely can't move the pulse with Hispanics or Asians or any other group, according to their admission. See, what they're saying is this. In order to get to Black people, we probably going to have to go talk to those brothers and sisters who are doing things in this grassroots media now, this new Black media. We probably going to have to go talk to them. We probably going to have to see if we can run ads with them. We probably going to have to spend some money with them. You understand what I'm saying? So don't be surprised if eventually one of them approach you and say, hey, can we run some ads on your platform? Don't be surprised. It could happen. Don't be surprised if the Trump campaign or Republicans start asking about running ads on the platform because they want to reach the people. Now, you say, how would you handle that if they approach? I'm not speaking for nobody, but advertisers are advertisers. It's hard to look at all of them. And you can vote for them or you can not vote for them. It's your choice. I'm not telling you to change your position on anything that you say. But it's like this. In order to get the Black vote, maybe you should do some things for Black people. That's what we're saying. Remember in that piece, it said that these microphones are shaping the minds of what people actually think about Vice President Kamala Harris. This is what they're saying. They're not saying CNN is doing it. They're not even saying Fox News is doing it, or Newsmax, or MSNBC. They're not saying Joy Reid has the pulse. Understand? They're not saying Tiffany Cross and Angela Rye or Charlamagne the God or anybody has the pulse of shaping how people may think to go out and vote for somebody or not. They're saying what we're saying is what's shaping the minds. Why? Why is that? Because we're regular Black people, just like the rest of them. We're not boule. We don't have that look of the boule. We're not going to doing the things they're doing, right? And since we shop in the same places everybody shop, we eat in the same restaurants with everybody, we're going through the same problems with everybody, right? We can relate. See, the Joy Reids of the world and the rest of them just can't relate. And people can see that. One thing about Black people, I can tell you, they don't like fake people. And when they see you fake, phony, or a liar, and you're doing things like that consistently, you're going to turn Black people off. I'm telling you, I know my people. We are the trusted voices. And I know you don't want to deal with us. I know you don't want to deal with none of us. I know you don't want to do anything with us. I know, because you don't want to give us anything. You don't. You don't want to give us reparations. You don't want to give us an anti-Black hate crime bill. You don't want to do nothing for us at all. You don't. And that alone will make you lose elections at this point. You have to understand, the mainstream media is the past. People ain't got time to watch TV at a certain time no more. They just don't. They want to pick up their cell phone and watch whatever program they want on their cell phone. You understand what I'm saying? If someone has an app or something, like we have the African Diaspora News Channel app, they can pick that up at any time, 24/7, and watch programming. If that's what they want to do, if that's what they choose to do. You understand? So y'all wasting money at this point on the mainstream media. You're wasting money. You do better hollering at the people here. And once again, Giving money to Democrat shills like Plies and Uncle Luke and Boulay Martin, that's not going to reach them, because maybe I'll start giving money to Boulay Martin. He has him, D.L. Hewley, all them. They don't have to pulse of Black America. Black America is repulsed by that. Y'all have to understand that, Democrats. They're repulsed. So you'll be wasting money. You might well give it to the mainstream media. You're going to give it to them. Nobody know anything about that. They disrespect Black America constantly. They insult Black Americans' intelligence. They disrespect our icons like Janet Jackson, right? They're disrespecting other people like Tyrese and Ice Cube and all kind of the people that we say, hey, we like that brother or sister, right? That's not the way you go about doing things. If those brothers and sisters have a difference of opinion, they have a right to have a difference of opinion. But your shields, I'm telling you, Democrats, pull back your shields. Your shields is actually hurting her chances. Your shields are turning people away from her. Okay? I'm just letting you know. But if you want to get to these microphones, then you got to give something to Black people. It's just that simple. You got to give something up. Listen, Al Sharpton, he does not have to pulse of Black America. The NAACP don't have to pulse. The Urban League don't have to pulse. So y'all wasting y'all time giving them money at this point. Y'all might as well save your money, because they're not doing nothing at this point. They're not doing a thing. I am telling you, if you want to get to the new people, you better come through these microphones and you better start hollering at us. But when you holler at us, you're going to break some bread with the Black community. You understand? But listen, you need to fire all your old shields and start over clean. Start over from scratch, because they're not helping you win elections anymore. That's really what you're admitting to. The NAACP is not helping you. The Urban League's not helping you, because nobody's listening to them. So understand, brothers and sisters, we are living in a great time. They are admitting defeat. They're admitting it, and it's beautiful. Now, they'll try to talk about us as individuals, I'm going to discredit them. I'm going to do this and that and the third. We're not worrying about your credit or discredit. We're not worrying about any of that at this point, because we already know that's how you get down. See, people on this side are very educated. We know the COINTELPRO moves you make. We know how racism, white supremacy get down. So we'll see you coming a mile away. So you do better breaking bread instead of trying to discredit. You understand what I'm saying? But y'all on the right side of history. You on the right side of history. And be registered to vote. Make sure you get out there and vote in early voting. I teach all y'all, go to early voting, go to the first day of early voting and cast your ballot. And over here, because I have not seen, at least with my opinion, I have not seen nothing for the Black community, especially for Black men in particular, and what we can do. And we're watching what happened with reparations in California and the constant disrespect of Black Americans. Look, I'm pushing that vote against blue no matter who. And it don't matter if you vote for Dr. Jill Stein and the Green Party. It don't matter if you vote for Donald Trump and the Republican. It don't matter if you vote for Dr. Cornel West, Robert Kennedy. Whoever you want to vote for, it's your business, right? And if you want to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, it's your business too. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying, in my position, what I know and the policies I see, unless she's about to put some radical policy, and I say radical for them, that's going to specifically prioritize Black Americans. And you have to understand, they have hurt Black Americans with immigration. They have hurt us, okay? So it's a good time, brothers and sisters. It's a great time. Now, let's see how we move accordingly as a community, since they are finally admitting that we have the pulse. Now, since we have the pulse, it's time to keep demanding. We need an anti-Black hate crime bill. We need reparations in the form of cash payments, okay? Cash. Like you gave all them migrants, cash. You understand? You can form the reparations program like you did the Native American program, okay? You got programs already set in place. We already got to, do it underneath the Freedmen's Bureau. You can call it whatever name you want to call it. You don't have to be called reparations. You can be called restitution. You can be called whatever, Black empowerment. Whatever name you want to call it. You ain't got to call it reparations, but let's go ahead on and get that going, because Black Americans need that to finally close that wealth gap. You will never close the wealth gap if you don't inject the money that's owed to Black Americans to Black America. Y'all mentioned a wealth gap, but y'all never inject the money we needed to close it. Reparations would close it. So I love this kind of information that's came out. It's only going to get worse for the Democrats. They think that bringing in migrants is going to fix the problem. It won't. Those migrants you're bringing in, they will vote Republican in the end because they don't get down with